Hello and welcome to the Short Back and Sides, the Trim Show. So we've been hearing everyone's views and opinions on the podcast so far, and we've been told we need more content. So we're not going to disappoint, and so we've decided to do a weekly show called the Trim Show. Because just like when you get a trim, you need a little touch up during the week, innit? And so that's what we're going to give you guys. You get me? So presenters here today. Pleasure P.
Pleasure P.
The doc.
You've got Millionaire Mike. You don't know.
RW Lamont.
Mr. Blake in the house.
Last but not least, Trife. So, guys, the biggest talking point this week has been about Diane Abbott and the racist remark from the Tory's biggest donor. So, boy, do you want to kick off our thoughts on it? Because it's big news.
Is it the racist comment or the alleged racist comment? How are we feeling about that?
So let's. Who knows what the actual comment was?
So basically, he said that Diane Abbott makes you want to hate all black women, and said the MP should be shot.
You even laugh. That's it.
What was the second part of that? Who should be shot?
She should be shot. Okay, so I think there's two things to this. So
didn't he also say in that he's not trying to be racist?
yeah.
Wasn't that the filler between?
So basically, this is him holding back.
Yeah.
This is him on a nice day.
I didn't hear about this. Was he telling his brethren in the House of Commons or something like that?
That's what I was going to say. Where was he when he said that?
How did this come out?
No, apparently this was in like 2019 or something like that. So it's obviously someone's published something and it's come out now. Yes, but he's also said something previously about Indians as well.
What?
So
what?
That's not me, RW, yeah?
I didn't say it was, bro.
What? Do we know what he said about Indian people?
Is it?
Something.
Too many.
Something.
You say that
too many of them.
Different things at different times.
Yeah, this is politics, right? So let's not forget we're talking about elections. There'll be elections soon enough. This is gearing up in and around that, but I think when it comes down to that guy, look, he's what, a multi-millionaire. He's like the biggest donor that the Conservative have, and they have a lot of big donors, right? And when you're making that sort of amount of money, you say what you want, you say because you can afford to. What are you going to do?
Do you think the Tory party should give his money?
Say again?
Nah,
they're not. No, I know, they're not going to do it.
Not going to do that.
They should, out of principle. Or
not taking money.
What is he saying about the Tory party? Yeah.
It just reaffirms what we already knew about them. They are a right party. You know what? This jokes aside, I'm going to kick it off properly. Here's the thing, innit? Yeah. So, for those that don't know, I have my degree is in politics. I've worked in the European Parliament and I worked at the Greater London Authority. Yeah. When it comes to politics in this country, it's the same bird, just different wings. Yeah. One thing that is clearly obvious, there's a very much an anti-black sentiment in this country that I think a lot of people like to downplay. Black, white, Asian, a lot of people downplay the anti-black sentiment in this country, and every now and then you get cases like this where it flares up. Yeah, but here's the thing. I know Diane Abbott gets a lot of stick. I think she's done a few things where you're just thinking, raw. Like, is that how you're moving
Yeah.
with it being the whole situation with the education for her son, the whole madness with her, whether she was with Jeremy Corbyn in Jamaica and so forth and so on. But all jokes aside, yeah, that could Diane Abbott could be your mum, could be your auntie, could be your granny, yeah. And to see the poor woman standing up bare times in the Houses of Commons, and the discussion was about her, and yet she wasn't allowed to say anything. I think that's quite damning. At the end of the day, you're gonna have bare Tory donors who probably think like that. It's just that with this guy, he's just been unfortunate that he's been caught. Yeah, nothing ain't gonna change in that dynamic. Yeah, but I think the thing that I found quite damning is when you have the likes of the black farmer, that dry-haired idiot woman, black woman on UB News, talking all sorts. Basically endorsing what was said. It just reminded me, it's your own fucking people that are going to bring down your demise, yeah? And that was painful to watch, because no matter how much progress black people make in this country, we'll take one step forward and two steps back. And it's this kind of bullshit that happens. Now, RW made a comment at the beginning, this alleged, yeah? Yeah, you're right, it is alleged, isn't it? Because, yeah, you know, we don't know. I don't think we'll ever know the full ins and outs. But long story short, someone in the Guardian came across it and said, "Fuck it, let's leak it." And you're right. You're right. It is. It's election time, so you know people are gonna do anything to make certain parties look a certain way. Bottom line, I still think the Tories are gonna win the election. I thought Rishi. Yeah. Look, Keir Starmer, I know he's ahead in the polls, but he hasn't got the gravitas like a man like Tony Blair, Neil King, John Prescott. He ain't got that gravitas. He ain't got that substance. Yeah. And as much as people will moan about the Tories doing a shit job, there's the alternative is no better. So people are going to stick to what they know. Yes, they'll take on the fuckery that's going on, but let's not lie about it. There's no other alternative. Will the anti-black sentiment in that party ever go away? No, because that's what it was built off of. You look at when black people came to this country, I remember seeing a Tory advert saying, well, you know, if you vote for Labour, you know, you will have a neighbour like us as your neighbour. So that tells you what you need to say about the Tory party. Do we need to protect black women more? Yes, we do. We do. Let's not lie about it. I'm sure all of us have made a flippant comment about a black woman in our lifetime, whether we were young, old, or even now, yeah? But bottom line, that anti-black sentiment that we've seen is borderline bullying. No, and we all know, be another woman from another race. It wouldn't go down like this.
What didn't surprise me, right? This brother that gives £10 million pounds a year to the Tory party, he's part of the 1% elite. Yeah, let's keep it 100. So I don't, in my opinion, that's the opinion of people that belong to that class. To be honest with you,
class, yeah.
You know what I mean? So they have a certain degree of disdain, or I guess superiority, not just to the proletariat classes and to the lower classes, but also to people of color in this country. So his comment, to some degree, I didn't expect any different from a guy like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, so I wasn't entirely surprised, nor was I shocked, to be honest with you. And Diane Abbott has said some very questionable things about other ethnic minorities in this country as well, which has landed her into
she's in suspension, isn't she, for
anti-Semitic remarks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying he excuses that, though. I'm not saying that excuses, that pardons what the guy has said about her. But are we surprised that the 1% elite of this country are essentially referring to people of colour in that way? Irrespective of whatever party it is, I think people in Labour Party will be saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I just want to jump on something you just said there, because I think that whole thing of the Labour Party being anti-Semitic, I think it's gained traction. No. But Diane Abbott has been suspended for that, and And what I've seen when it comes to that rhetoric, there's a big difference between being anti-Semitic and being a Zionist. They're two different things. And unfortunately, I think they've been conflated in the sense of where if you say a certain thing, whether it's good, bad, it's going to be classed as, you know what? I'm not going to say what we all intended to do. You catch what I'm saying. And unfortunately, that's another reason why I don't think the Labour Party will win this election, because they, in a lot of people's
can I
eyes,
ask the question,
they
or
still
anyone
haven't
else
dealt
in the
with that
panel?
problem.
Was the remark made against Diane Abbott on?
Yeah.
Were they essentially making comment on her physical appearance, as in her feminine looks or a lack of feminine appeal, or was it purely based on the color of her skin? Because I'm trying to I didn't quite, from the articles I read about it, I wasn't sure whether it was Diane Abbott's attitude, which just so happens to be displayed by a black woman, with the fact that she's a black woman and she's not exactly the best looking black woman in.
Here's the thing. When a man says you look at one black woman and it makes you want to hate all black women,
No.
you trying
I
to
want to
tell
find
me
out whether
that ain't racist or
we
that ain't
criticized
inciting
her
violence towards
looks,
black
as in her
women?
lack of feminine aesthetic or appeal, or whether
Yeah.
it was
So what?
purely.
I think. Hold on. I think what Mike's getting at is what
No.
was the trigger for him to say that? Right? Was
I
it?
think it was the attitude.
There was a
It was the
discussion.
attitude.
Right. So there was a form of conflict.
Yeah.
And that he observed, or maybe that he got that, someone that maybe she was taking someone that he supports. She was saying something, whatever it was, and he took offense. And then what came from that was, this woman makes you want to hate all black women, right? That's the first part of what he said.
Yeah.
That was
So the first part was So the first part of that was So it was an attitude. Can I say? Yeah.
Right.
So
okay. So
I
can
guess
we address
hold on.
that
What I'm
then?
saying, hold on. What I'm saying. Let me just finish. Is he didn't say? Let's go by what. Let's just go by what was said, not by how we feel about what we think was said, or how we feel about how it hurts people. Let's go just by what he said. So he said, if the papers are to be believed, that she makes you want to hate all black women.
Yeah.
He didn't say he hates all black women.
Mm-hmm.
Purely, I know it's like, hold on, what is he advocating? I'm not advocating. I'm just simply looking at what was said and trying to understand the situation. So he said, her behavior, whatever it is, makes you want to, right? He's not saying that he does. He's just simply saying this is how her behavior. But I'm going by what he said. By what he said, not by what I think he feels.
Or what you think
By
he
what he
meant.
said, right? Because that's what we're all held by. Ultimately, our actions, what we do, what we say. So the second part, that's where personally I think, has gone across the line. Okay, because it's one thing to air your feelings about someone in that way, or a group of people. You're free to do it. For example, any one of us, I'm sure, has had experience, let's say, with someone white that might have done something to us that could make us want to hate all white guys, but we choose not to, right?
Yeah.
But to then go as far as calling for someone to be shot, that I think is where whoa, that's across the line.
I want to tackle what you just said about the white thing, Dubs, because I think it's slightly different for us. Because I think what for people like us, an ethnic group that have grown up around white people most of our lives, we've learned very quickly to identify individuals and treat them as individuals, not as a group of people. I certainly am talking for myself. So if I interact with a person, a non-black person or a non-ethnic person, I can categorically tell you very quickly whether that person is nice or whether that person's a dickhead. Not by virtue of the color of their skin, because of the way I've interacted with them. Because I've grown up around white people my whole entire life, as in literally, unnaturally, because it's kind of strange, but I have done because I always lived in white majority countries. Now, this individual has always lived has always had this white experience as a man, and has probably not had the same experience as we have growing up around a majority black country with majority black people. So I just wanted to kind of bring that into the discussion, because I think we are more able to distinguish between good and bad people, irrespective of the color of their skin. In particular, when it comes to white people, because we've grown up in white majority countries most of our lives.
Would you not say that probably, if you think about our time when we were kids and the kind of conversations that would have been in the playground, I think I referenced it earlier in the chat, you build a resilience and an intuition for when somebody is in essence
being racist,
being, borderline racist, if not racist. And the thing is, for us growing up, we would have heard it direct. You would have heard it direct. And then, those are the kind of memories you form in terms of, okay, the eye contact or the kind of behavior that comes towards it. That's all instilled in us. But then when you think about the comment said, to categorize a whole group, black women, and the thing is, he didn't say black people, he said women.
Black women.
He said women, and then to shoot, like, come on.
Yeah, that's
direct. That is not.
Do you know one of the big issues that I have with it is I agree exactly with what RW was saying at the beginning point. We have to take exactly what he says as verbatim and into context. But I think one of the things that we have to understand that kind of rubs with the freedom of speech is the reality that the more power you have in your life or in your position, the more devastating the potential your words are. So what makes me more concerned with statements like that is a person who is obviously in that top bracket and also as an interesting point, this man, although he donates lots to the Tory party, he owns a company that runs the NHS health records. So he's getting lots of P from that. So somebody so influential, who is of a Caucasian persuasion, makes statements like that. I worry what that carries through to society, to the other Caucasian men who look up and say, yo, to be that, I've got to be doing things like that. And to me, that's the concern.
No, it's a valid point.
Well, then, as well, Dom, the fact that he works for any data company, which probably supplies data on terms of ethnicity, if anything, it probably contributes to that cultural bias that we keep seeing come up when it comes to the NHS, as reflected by maybe a pregnant woman in Merseyside a couple weeks, whenever it was. And this is the thing,
100%.
When you have power, you're able to control certain narratives. So there's probably a lot of people
and they're not powerful enough.
So they just like being caught out.
This is it. So for me, I still look at what he said in two parts. That first part, if I'm completely honest, and going back to P's point about our generation, you know what? Certain things you just got, it is what it is, and you can't labor on it too much because you just be absorbed by it. You're not going to change people's hearts. Some people believe and feel a particular way.
Some people still believe that, bro. You're just not going to change.
In that whole, that's not going to change that. But in that whole, I still think from what he said, that is not for me the most racist statement or outrageous thing I've ever bloody heard when it comes to race, if I'm completely honest. But the second part, if it's to be believed, where he says she should be shot, that's out of order, in my opinion. And that takes it way too far. And that goes to and I think on a whole, looking at our community, whether you're Labour, whether you're Conservative, whether you're insane and you're Liberal, anyway, we should all rally around her, regardless of how we feel about her political positions or some of the crazy things she said or some of the great things she said. and acknowledge that here is a member of our community that is being attacked. And like I said, I think for me, the second part of that statement is, an attack. And if she were, let's say, of another particular minority that we might not name, that community comes together very quickly, regardless of the internal disputes or disagreements. They know an attack on one is an attack on all, right? So I think in that sense, and going back to your point, which was Mr. Blake, which was about watching certain people on TV defending and condoning that position. And like I said, can't, people are open to their opinion with the first part, but with the second, there's a clear issue there. And that shouldn't be encouraged.
Dobbs, I want to touch on that second part, because what was interesting about the second statement he made was that she must have committed an act of insolence, or what you consider to be an act of insolence, to which she should be reprimanded for. And I can't help but cast my mind back to either pre-colonial times or slavery times, when people of our skin tone were disciplined beyond, to some extent were killed, if for having deferred views from the colonial masters or the overseers, if you like, and the fact that again he's of that elitist group, many of our people will have been subjected to that sort of violence simply because of opposing views of another person of a different skin tone. So I can understand why, if you take the second statement, what a lot of black people, black men and black women, and people of other backgrounds will feel, aggrieved by that statement, because those of us who are, old enough or educated enough to understand what, the pain that slavery and colonialism has caused, throughout our cultures, respective cultures, I would consider that, and that sort of that act of violence, or perpetrated violence towards Diane Abbott for having, opposing views, to be slightly concerning.
Can I propose something? Sorry to cut you. So obviously he's chosen her for whatever reason to make that statement. Do you think our community responds the same way if that similar statement was made about black men?
Of course not.
No, not at all.
Of course not. You're fodder. You just take it. There wouldn't be this sort of outrage and cry, and all these people coming up, and what's his name, the Labour guy, saying, "Oh, come to..." No, not at all.
No, nothing like that at all. I think they'll just as in they'll just say,
it wouldn't. If I'm honest, it wouldn't even be news. Let's be honest.
Exactly. Right?
It wouldn't be on no papers, nothing. And if I'm completely my feeling about it, if it was directed to a black guy, if you're in a prominent political position like that, or any prominent position, you've developed thick skin. Right? We all have on this call. And if someone was saying that about, like I said, the first part, whatever, the second part, what are we going to do about it? Is how I'd respond. Right? You ain't going to do nothing. It's all talk. And it wouldn't keep me up at night. I wouldn't start to navel gaze and talk about the views of the people of this in the nation, and do I fit in here? None of that. None. It goes back to us as a community and where we get our identity. And I think actually one of our greatest weaknesses is to constantly look for validation in others. Constantly looking for it. Are we okay? Do you like us? Is it okay for me to sit here? When you get to a point where you don't care, and you believe in yourself, and that's when you excel. And as a community, that's how we have to be.
100%.
No longer constantly looking for validation from another group to say, "Are we all right? Are we good?" We do it too much. So to go back to your question about if it were directed to a man, that'd be, if you're a successful black man in either corporate Britain or in political Britain, you got thick skin.
Yeah.
And in fact, you probably clap back.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, if you're in your own kind of way. That's how I look at it.
Do you think that's a bit of a slavery mentality to kind of always kind of asking for validation? Are you okay, master? Blah, 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 blah. Can we do this? Can we sit there? Blah, 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 blah. Blatantly, I think.
It's more colonial.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as, do you know what I mean? As in, like, you know, obviously my parents are from Jamaica, you know, their generation coming here, the concept of that, the mother country, you know, and then actually it not delivering, you know, so they're very much kind of that culture of just get along,
what it's supposed
you
to
know,
do.
any opportunity is a good one, that sort of, you know, because that was the world in which they were moving in. Now, it obviously it's different, but I think that there is still a legacy of wanting that acceptance. But there's liberation and not looking for that.
I'd agree with that. But then let me pose a question to the panel then. When we see these kind of things happen, particularly to black women,
you know, I was
does it reiterate
that beautiful
you know,
question.
black women are not protected enough?
Well, where's the black feminists? Where are the black feminists? These are the first groups that I would like to see stand up for Diane Abbott, because there's also a movement of black feminism all around the world.
Yeah.
You know, and
Good
I would
point, Mike.
expect I would expect the black feminists across all four corners of the world to have chimed in. And I just haven't heard anything from them. I've not heard anyone or any spokesperson. Have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
No, I've seen a few. And if I'm honest as well, I've seen a few black men in prominent positions kind of say, you know what? Rather than do the whole radio silence, it's just kind of like, nah, this is not on. This is not on at all. And I think in a way it is a bit of a cry for help, because I always find like when black women are under attack, we as black men are the first to be our role in it is always in question. Are we doing enough, or are we even encouraging it? And for me, I know that frustrates me, because obviously we've got black mums, black sisters, black aunties, black females. I've done this to protect them, but let's not lie about it. It's not there are black guys that we all look to.
But
These
It's
you
true.
know what I mean?
doesn't it go back to the point that
No,
our
like,
Dobbs made earlier?
it's true.
What did she say to the brother to piss him off? To piss him off to such an extent where he's saying,
No, but here's the thing. No, but here's the thing, Mike. Yeah, it shouldn't for her to have done it shouldn't matter what she said or what she's done. That kind of talk there can't run. It can't run. And as RW said, if she was a woman from a different particular race, it would have get shut down from a long time. It wouldn't have been tolerated. Man would have got suspended. They would have said, "Fuck your peas,
just touching a
get
point
out
that
the
could
party."
be controversial. I'm not saying this is my opinion,
as
but
we all
I'm trying
know,
to play devil's advocate here.
Any disclaimer, man's prepared disclaimer.
Putting it out there, but it's not my fault. I'm trying to canvass all sides and keep this fair. What if this man was thinking, I'm reading the room and saying what people are scared to say, that black women tend to be too masculine, and therefore I'm putting them all in one bracket and saying she's not listening to me talk as a man, and this is the kind of woman that makes me feel this way, and he sees that in the black community. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying...
Well, you know what I say to that then? The man's a blood clot simp. If you as a man feel threatened by a woman's femininity and her presence and her assertiveness, go check yourself in the mirror then, innit? Grow some fucking balls. You really trying to tell me that one woman is gonna really like make you feel like you're not a man? So therefore, because she's made you feel away that much, I must shoot her. Or or
Do
this
you think
other
this was
women
an
that look
isolated
like her.
incident, or it
Oh man,
was?
come on, get out of here, man.
No,
You're not a man.
you know,
You're not real.
No,
100%
definitely
Well,
not.
not.
but
No.
this
No,
This
it's
is
not.
what
It's not an
got
isolated.
out.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
but to go back to go
No,
back
go
to
on.
actually Doctor's kind of question, right? Which was, was he reading the room? Because I think we've thrown a couple of really, really good questions there. Mr. Blake was talking about that narrative of black women not being protected, right? Which touches on a much wider theme and a bigger issue. I think for me, the term black women is too broad, too broad, because that encapsulates every single black woman on
Okay.
the planet, right? And we are not this mass of blackness.
This amalgamation.
With different cultures, different points. So we specifically, you would get a different answer from me if you said African American woman to
Yeah.
if you said a black British
British
woman,
black woman.
or a black British woman of African or Caribbean
Jamaican
descent.
descent, yeah.
Okay, because I think actually we've got very different cultural experiences.
Yeah, 100%
And
agree with
that's
that.
coming out very, very, very clearly. I think that there's more an issue about solidarity within our community. If black British women feel they're not protected, then there has to be a certain sense of introspection around that, because you can't have it both ways. I'm a firm believer in, I don't believe men should be providing for women. I believe a husband should provide for a wife.
Yeah.
I believe that there should be onus on the individual, his family, and the community through that system. When we get to a point where we're all supposed to basically be fodder, anything going on, the black man must step in and protect. No. It's not that simple. There has to be accountability and responsibility. I will protect my beautiful nieces. Absolutely. I'll protect my mum. If I had a sister, I'll protect my sister, my cousin. But when we start to get out into this world, I don't know what you've done.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what you've done. And it's too, the black, I don't want to say the black man, because again, it's too broad, but I can definitely say, that the expectation around this black British male is to just step in the gap, step in the bullets are coming. Doesn't matter why the bullets are coming, they're just coming now. So I better put my black self in the middle and save her. No. Yeah. It's not doing that. Yeah.
So let me ask you something then, RW. Yeah, There- there's a lot of times where we're hearing of racist incidents on the London Underground or Overground, and I've seen a few instances where I've seen black women get racially abused by non-black,
Yeah.
particularly non-black men. Don't get me wrong, I've seen non-black women do it as well. If that was your niece and one of us was on the train and
I
she
would
was getting
say
abused and stuff like
that
that, would you expect us to
particular
step in?
context, it's clear about the cause and effect, right? When, it could well be there is a situation where certain mans look like they're moving to a woman that's black. They could be white, they could be black, but you don't know what's going on or why, what the driver is there.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? I think we have to, I'm sorry, but we have to use, you assess case by case. And I'm not going, there's too many black men that are 6 foot under because they played hero in a situation they didn't understand.
Know anything about it?
Or there was a, you're the attack dog. You must go and fight now. Go. No, that is not a wise way to move. Especially with the legal framework we've got, we know there's bias against us.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You're more likely to go to prison. You're more likely to get a CIFA sentence. You're more likely to have we're more likely to die in police custody. I think I've forgotten what the stat was, right? But it is astronomically high in comparison to any other group
Yeah.
To the point where are there special cells that we get put into with their spikes in the bed? You know what I mean? Where there's then X. But it's but this is the world in which we are operating in. So we have to use, I think personally, intelligence and assess each situation. To that point, if I'm on a train and someone's rowing up and there's an argument between these two, that's one thing. But if the guy starts saying you black bitch, that's different. Right? That's how I look at it. That for me then ignites something where I can clearly, from my own cognition, I can see and hear, right, that's gone across the line. Because up until that point, I don't know what was said, I don't know what was done, and I'm not going to look at a black British woman as an angel because she's a black British woman. No, I'm going to assess the situation. I'm going to evaluate, because I know that's my arse on the line as well. And when the police turn up, all they're going to see is an angry black man, right?
So
They're not going to see the narrative. They're not going to see, oh, actually, he did the honourable thing. No. That's not what they're going to see. They're going to see angry black man, pepper spray.
Okay.
Neutralize the primary target. You know what I mean? That's how it is.
So our guy, Frank Hester, also apparently said no more room for Indians.
Yeah, that was
and suggested they climb on the train roof. Yeah. So
guys,
I know he's on fire this time.
Right, man.
So it made me think, and also it goes
train roof, I mean, it's not even. There's not even that sort of space on TFL. I'm joking.
But it made me think, and it kind of links into our podcast, one of our recent podcasts on where we talk about the kind of the way to simplify it, say black versus Asians. And so this has been said, but I don't feel like this has grabbed as much momentum as the other comments. And it kind of leads me to thinking, why is that? Why is the fact that the racist remark against a black woman is kind of really dominated, and this is kind of ridden off the back secondary?
I think.
Yeah, I think it's a shock.
I was going to say you've got gender in in the first case. It's gender and race. Race just broadly, it's topical, but it's not as meaty, I think. And again, it's shots fired against a Asian prime minister. I'm sure he has feelings about that, but someone like Rishi, yes, his heritage is Asian, absolutely, but his actual background is privilege.
Yeah, exactly.
Highly privileged.
Highly,
highly. Just I don't want to. I hate the term, and I think we're probably going to touch on that at some point as a topic about the concept of the sellout and all those sorts of things. And I personally don't I've got my own views about that. I don't believe in that. He's obviously of Asian heritage, but his immediate background is highly privileged. His wife is incredibly wealthy, and so is he.
She's more wealthy than him.
JP Morgan was his background, so he's
he's up there.
He's definitely not man of the people.
Yeah. Have you seen that video of him when he's young and he's talking?
Yeah,
he's like,
right, and he knows poor people, or something, isn't it? Or working class people. I know some working class people. I do.
Yeah.
I bumped into them. In the streets.
They come and clean my homes.
I ran over one once.
Another interesting thing is this Don. So I found the numbers. This Don has won £400 million in government and NHS contracts.
He's connected.
Yeah,
man.
He's connected. That's and when you're moving weight like that, you say what you want. That's really...
You say what you want.
You say what you want, bro.
But another thing that I learned about him, he has a lot of business connections with Jamaica as well. So he's probably he's done a few deals with Jamaica.
I was about to say that, right?
I'm not racist. I've got black mates in Jamaica.
There's been if I'm honest, some of the most overtly, blatantly racist statements I've personally heard. This anecdotal evidence come from those that feel comfortable doing it, right? They either have someone in the family or they've spent time in a particular place, okay? And it's like credit. It's like a credit that they've got in their minds that, because of this, I can't be racist. And that means I can spend X, Y, and Z of my credits on racist statements. Do you see what I mean? And they will say some of the most, which I think are overtly, blatantly racist because they're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why when Enoch Powell made his Rivers of Blood speech, it was very ironic because he was one of the people that was going to Jamaica and Barbados and saying, yes, come to England, come and work on the trains, come and work on the as nurses. Only for them to come and then you're telling them, yeah, man, if I come out, come out. Gotta move and go. And this is what I was saying in the group, lads. When this kind of thing happens, of course it's us they want to come out of the country first. So when you lot were saying what you lot were saying, I was just every now and then, this country will remind you that you a nigger. You ain't black and British. You a nigger. Get the fuck out, man. Galang. Yeah? So just hey man, I know Trife you're saying a certain demographic might have, but no. We will always be the first to be like, nah, get out, get out. Can't stand these black cunts. Get out.
Right. Any other points on this before we close?
It's yeah, there will be. I mean, but you know that the certain demographic that we dare not talk about.
There will be more.
Yeah,
I think
Shall not be named.
They're
Mad
though.
Like the way that one demographic will get you instantly cancelled.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
But
Mad, like, imagine if we had that kind of power.
It would be immense. But because they've effectively got a connection to one piece of land, it makes it a lot easier, I think. And I think for us it's a bit more difficult because we are numerous and we come from varying countries. And so therefore I think the call for unity makes it very difficult. Because let's assume Diane Abbott is of Bayesian descent. The Yardies don't give their own business. It's not as if she sorted a Jamaican woman. We don't business. And then you hear that inter-island insults. They eat monkeys anyway down there, so we don't really care about Barbados. So it's small island people. If Dad Abbott was of Ghanaian descent, the Nigerians would be busting jokes. So because we've got no unity amongst ourselves.
Yeah, that's an early tactic of dividing and conquering. That's one of the huge problems in the black communities. We all see us as I agree equally. We have different cultures, but we see ourselves as very divided. And within us, it's hard to come together when there are attacks and be like, hey, no, we are not having that.
Where's she from, man? Where's she from? Is she Ghanaian? Is she? That's exactly what people will be asking.
Yeah, that's what they would say.
But it goes back to that. I'm sure we've all heard it on this call. We've all heard that. So where are you from? No. Where are you really from? Where are you? You know what I mean. Where are you from?
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is it goes back to our community and that lack of identity internally. Because ultimately, all these sorts of things, for me personally, just I don't. Apart from, I know it's very hurtful to see her stand up and not get the reception that she deserves. That's absolutely wrong and disgusting. But as a community, when you hear about, I go back to my parents coming over from Jamaica and other people coming from other parts of the Caribbean at the time, because there was such overt racism. There was more cohesion within the community, and as things have become more relaxed, that has dispersed. But there's also, I think, some key drivers in that, which is the erosion of the family unit, which has played heavily in the the issues within the community. But it's also state funded. You know, you can, in this country, you can choose to have a particular path in life and be funded for it. And that impacts our community especially really, really hard. So I think, you know, in terms of potential solutions, it all comes down to more of a collective identity, in my opinion. Without that, all of these things are symptoms. You know, there's no way forward without an identity.
I'd like to know what Diane Abbott's husband thinks of the situation.
Is she married? I think she had Corbyn in it. So.
Well, she's not married.
No, she doesn't. No.
Okay. No, I thought, okay, she's an unmarried black woman.
That woman, yes.
Uncovered, dare we say.
Yeah.
Dare we.
Yeah.
And the pensioner, that as well. Stressed that, which I think has been looked past. This is a pensioner.
It is a soft ass target.
Respectfully.
Do you know what I mean?
She's been MP for years, hasn't she? Been an MP for years, from like the 70s or something, isn't she? First black. Yeah. Respect on her name.
She deserves respect. She does deserve respect. You know, whether you like her or not, she does deserve respect.
Yeah.
She's, you know.
Yeah, of course. She does. But unfortunately, because she's made a lot of faux pas over the years, I think this is where it comes to bite her in her arse, and probably she hasn't got maybe the backing
she's allowed
or the
to
sympathy.
a few faux pas.
Yeah, of course, we're
she
human,
deserves.
man. At the end of the day, we all make mistakes, man. So it's just shame that she's in the public eye and people hold it.
But this is politics. Let's not pretend this isn't idealism.
You know,
right? She's also not exempt from how dirty politics is dirty. It's a dirty business.
Yeah, but we know that she's probably governed to different rules than her counterparts. Yeah, we know some of her counterparts have done even more fuckery things than probably she has.
Very true. But I would say, if I'm honest, I'd say about that is we all experience that. Right? Just in basic corporate Britain. I know my colleague can be passionate in the boardroom. Right? He can be loud and shout. I'm not doing that. He can do that. And it's just Terry. That's just Terry being Terry. Right? I know I don't have that leeway.
No.
I don't have that. Right? But the difference is, no, but
Imagine how being
that's my point. We don't live in the same world, right? So we can either complain about it or cry about it. Be like, I want to be like Terry, or we can acknowledge that actually we're going to have to move different, and it's going to be harder. Yeah, it is, but we still do it. We get it done. We just adapt. We just are slightly different.
Are we saying that effectively what Diane Abbott is just victim of blackness?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not, and I don't believe in that. I don't. This for me, it's a really good point. And I would say, for example, and all of you here that have experienced racism in different ways, okay? You've never experienced it because you're black. It's not because you're black, it's because they're racist.
Yeah.
It's a very different way of looking at it. If you look at it as it's because I'm black, it's an admission that there's something wrong with your blackness. That's not true. It's because they're racist. It's the same way when you've got someone that is, let's say a woman is sexually assaulted, right? We don't say she was sexually assaulted because she's a woman.
Yeah.
No, we say she was unfortunate to come across a rapist. The onus is on the person, not on my skin. There ain't nothing wrong with my skin. Nothing.
Real talk.
Right. So she's not a victim of being black. There's no such thing. She's a victim of, I would say, especially like I said, for me it's the second part I've got more of an issue with than the first part.
Yeah.
Right. Personally. And that's context, because that guy might say the same. You know what? He might have said the same thing 1,000 times about other white guys, and we'd never hear it, and we'd never know about it.
So
But in that context, it's different.
as it's election year, then, guys, has this issue revised your voting sentiment in any way? Would you? I'm not asking you to divulge who you'll be voting with for, rather, over the next elections, but are you now essentially thinking twice about any particular political affiliation you may have as a result of this issue coming out?
Not at all, because we all knew what the Tories were already, didn't we? So we know what we're voting for. So it's not like they haven't done things in the past. It's another, as you said, it's another incident. It's probably going to be another 10. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, glad.
I'm not allowed to vote in this country anyway because I'm not British. So it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Final thoughts now. So we'll go to Pleasure P.
I think those comments that were said, I agree with RW. The person is a racist, and probably in that instance couldn't do anything. Possibly what they would have wanted to say something like "shot" is an act of violence. Mm-hmm. Probably in the environment they were in, obviously couldn't do that, but was so enraged for whatever reason that's what came out. And I think that's the bit that's dangerous, is that people in that kind of position think that it's acceptable, whether it's black, white, Asian, whatever, think it's acceptable to effectively condone a piece of violence, right? Gun crime, etc. is in the UK and everything. So to think that comment is acceptable, and then aim that at an old pensioner who really can't defend themselves, is just wanky at best.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
Libs.
The doc.
So I think, like I said, it's all about the effect in what you say. I agree exactly with what W at the beginning said, and I have quite similar views. Like, we experience it all the time, we hear it, it's 100% not about us. And I think the first point, I like actually believing that we're in a place where we can speak freely. But when you go into that second part, knowing the power and influence you have, you can't. There's no way you can defend that. And as far as I'm concerned, it has far-reaching and damaging consequences. And but it's a reminder that what is in undertones in society, institutional racism, is very much alive and kicking. And when you get these spats that blatantly come out, it just reminds you. And imagine what is still bubbling about. Sometimes I prefer when people are blatantly racist, if I'm honest, because at least you know what you're dealing with. It's the ones that learn to cook it and know how to use it and maneuver it and block people, and those are the ones that are really dangerous, if I'm honest.
100%. Millionaire Mike?
I think if this was a football game, I think our Dubs would be man of the match, because he touched on some very interesting points. And there's a few things I'd like to wrap up really quickly. It's the issue of racism. To some degree, all of us, and even Pascal mentioned it, we've developed a sixth sense, and in terms of what we consider to be racist, what we understand to be racist, by virtue of us being of various varying ethnic minority groups. So we've developed a tolerance to it. And when I read about it, when I came across this piece of news, I wasn't particularly saddened or particularly angry. I just thought, here we go, another incident, surrounding race. I think the issue really is the act of violence. Violence against women is reprehensible, and I think it should be condoned and it should be attacked. And that's what we should be focusing on. The other point also is the fact that, look, the political system altogether is going to have biases against people of minorities anyway. So I wasn't particularly in any way surprised as this rhetoric being spewed. And even though we're in 2024, these people will also raise children to be thinking along the same way, because at the end of the day, it's the preservation of wealth and preservation of ideologies that needs to be passed on. And the fact that we're still having to deal with this in 2024 isn't really surprising. But saying that, though, I do think that Diane Abbott should be consoled, because she shouldn't be subjected to that level of disgusting abuse from people like Mr. Hester.
Yeah. Mr. Blake?
Yeah, I think it's just reiterated what I've always known about this country. This country, well, like it's not a racist country, but we see it day and day and year after year. The anti-black sentiment in this country just grows wider and wider and wider, and nothing ain't gonna be done about it. If anything, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. And I guess my final point is black women rock, whether we like it or not. I know I like it.
RW.
I think when Mike said we've got like a sixth sense for, that kind of prejudice because of the culture that we've been born and raised in, I can't help but think about the movie. In the movie it was like, I see dead people. It's like the equivalent. I see racists, but no, there is there is a sense of a heightened sense of detecting racism, or even just being really sensitive and instantly jumping to that being the root cause of particular behavior. And it may not necessarily be, I think that there is an almost paranoia to certain situations and things. It's so easy to think, oh, she might not like me because blah blah blah, I'm black, or he might have an issue this because da 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 da. And I think that is, again, an internal cultural thing that we don't really talk about. There's so many things in our community and our culture we don't talk about. We just get on with. And I don't look to the women of the group for guidance on that. I think that should be from the men and within the circle of men and our experiences and how we deal with things. But that isn't really our culture. Like my dad's from the from the silent generation. His way of dealing with things is just to get on and get it done, right? And that does get a result. But it also makes things hard because there isn't that communication within the male group, and that's no criticism of him. He's a much stronger and greater man than me, in terms of what he had to do, what he had to go through. And that was how he was taught in terms of how to deal with these particular things. So I think, Diane Abbott absolutely is a soft target, but also because she's out there on her own doing what she's doing and probably not supported as much by the wider group. But what I don't want, and I'll go back to the statement that was made. He was just going by what he said, and everyone's got all upset by it, but he didn't say he hates all black women. He said that this can make you feel that way, and at least there's over honesty there, right? And also what we haven't really spoken about, and I think is a really important point. This was not, from my understanding, this wasn't a public statement.
No, it wasn't.
Right? No, it wasn't.
This was something that I don't know where they got this from, okay? But let's be honest here. If people went into particular groups, let's say chat groups, I'm guarantee you, every single person, not just here, but in this country, right? If I said I got your group chat,
the beads of sweat,
right? There's statements in there. Let's be honest. There's statements in. I think every single person knows full well there's statements in there. WhatsApp's got control. If WhatsApp wanted to turn on anyone will be finished, right?
Everybody will be finished.
So I think, look, there's an element of that statement, a private statement being made public, and I think there's issue in that. But that second part, where it was very much about, yeah, she should be shot. That's, you know, something that shouldn't be tolerated. And, you know, someone like Diane Abbott needs to be protected and encouraged at this time. You know, from a community point of view, that's kind of regardless of political leanings and faux pas and all those sorts of things. You know, that ain't for me. That second part, that ain't right. First part, pinch of salt. You know, we've all been through things and had things said, and you know, we soldier through. But that second part is, come on now.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, Trife. Can I just quickly just jump in on just something that RW just said there in terms of that, you know, Diane Abbott being protected? We forget certain MPs got killed in the last few years.
Very
and
true.
I think,
yeah.
I
There's
think
a
that's
lady, I've
something we
forgotten
can't
her name, but
downplay.
and also there's been a couple of guys as well that, you know, so there are psychos out there that will hear that. You know, and the threat of death, that's reckless talk. Even if you're a millionaire, even a multi-millionaire, that's reckless talk. Right? And also I think if it was purely 100% private sector, it is what it is. But if you're making a lot of money from public money, right, there is it's a different, I think, a different context, right?
Yeah.
Because that's public money, that's my money, that's your money.
Yeah.
Really, if he's doing stuff with the NHS.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
so there is a greater, you know, you can't really say that you're full on private. That's public money. So there's a responsibility there. That I think is greater than if it was pure 100% public private sector.
Yeah, okay, cool. I think from my point of view, his words were totally unacceptable. I don't think you should mention black at all, because you just said that type of woman, didn't have to say black. Again, it was in private, but again, he's in his position, he should have obviously thought about it more. And for me, the shooting things just could incite anyone to do anything, basically. She's on the public line all the time and stuff. And as you said, loads of MPs have been killed recently, and that's not acceptable to me. And the thing which really touched with me is just the way kind of our communities responded to it. Again, if we were a bit more like other communities and anyone said anything about us, then, you know, things would have been shut down and stuff like that. And it's just the sense of us as a community need to get a bit more tighter and have that more community spirit. So yeah, that's my final points on it, and totally agree with everything everyone said on here. But thanks for listening in, and be sure to subscribe, like, comment on all the various social media channels, Instagram, X.
Yeah, they will rename in a minute. We also got Facebook.
Yeah, we'll rename them.
And we also got some hot episodes coming out as well, guys. So you need to subscribe so you don't miss them. We got Going Dutch 50-50. Should that be the thing or not? We talk about the whole Black versus Asian debate. And we also go into an important topic, the health of the Black man. So there's some lots and lots of exciting stuff coming up. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that juicy stuff.
Peace.
People out.
Good night.